Good afternoon. My name is Brian Schuster, and today I'm going to tell you how to meaningfully contribute to the Ethereum project using GitHub. So what prompted this video is a post that hit the top of our Ethereum. As a matter of fact, it's the top post from the last week. Basically a call to the development community to say that Ethereum.org needs a big update. A lot of the documentation is old. Some of the information is just plain outdated or from a couple of years ago. And really saying that if we're going to pull more people into this community, we're going to have to make this, look better. And the very top comment is actually from Nick Johnson, and he actually posts to a GitHub page and says, if you want to send a pull request, this is available to you. Now, I assume that most of the people who are on our Ethereum are pretty technical by nature, but if you've never used GitHub in your development tools, and even though you understand the concept of it, you've never seen it done, making a pull request, doing the process of a fork and making a change, may stop you from actually contributing. And that means that we may be losing out on some resources to be able to improve Ethereum and the documentation. So today I'm going to walk through a couple of projects and take you through the process of actually finding a project, finding a change you want to make, forking it, making that change, and then submitting a pull request and actually making a change to the various different Ethereum projects. So to begin, I'm going to take a look at the Ethereum name registry. It's where you can register domain names for Ethereum, which I think is a pretty awesome project. And I'm just going to show you how you can actually go and fork this project if you wanted to make a change. So if you scroll down on this page, you can actually see there's a couple of links. You can go and actually register a name, which is the ENS registrar, and then you actually have some documentation. Well, I have this pulled up, and I noticed that there's a few places where you could actually go and make some changes. There's a quick start guide, there's an FAQ, and at the very top right, you may notice this, you can see edit on GitHub. So if you actually reviewed this documentation and saw that you wanted to make a change, this would be your first step. So first you would go, right click and go and edit on GitHub. And this would actually bring you to the exact documentation on this page. Everything that's listed out here is listed here. This is actually the source for this information. So if you want to go and actually make a change, the first thing you're going to want to do is go and fork the repository. What this is going to do is it's going to create a copy of the project. I had done this previously, so it didn't give me the loading icon. But if you wanted to go and make a change, you would first go and fork. And what this is doing is it's taking the exact code that was in Ethereum, but it's popping it in my local library, or bschuster3434, that's my account. But it's the exact same code. It's the exact same stuff that's out on the Ethereum project. Now, if you don't have an account, you're going to want to go and set that up. And I'll post a link down below on how you can go and actually create a GitHub account and get that set up on your computer. But before you can do this, you're going to need to have that basic setup here. And I'm going to be using the command line tool, but there's a window GUI as well. It doesn't really matter what you end up using. It's just your preference on what you're comfortable with. So after I forked my library, I'll have a copy available in my GitHub profile. Now I need to actually get it onto my computer so I can start making changes. What you're going to want to do is you're going to go and clone or download. You can use either SSH or HTTPS. It does not matter which method you use. It's just a process of being able to get it onto your own system. So you're going to go copy to the clipboard, and we're ready to start working in our own system. So I'm inside my documents directory, and what I'm going to want to do is create a folder specifically for this project. So on Windows, I'm going to do mkdir, make directory, and I'm just going to call it ENS docs. All right, now that's created. I'm going to change my folder now, so I'm actually inside there. And the next step I'm going to want to do is actually initialize the library. So I'm going to go git init, and that's just going to set up the folder so it's basically a Git repository. It can now accept accounts and clone things over from GitHub. So next thing I'm going to want to do is going to do git pull, and then I'm going to go and actually paste the project in, or that code that I got from my GitHub library. I'm going to go git pull, and what that's going to do is going to download all the files into the folder. If you're doing this on Apple, or a Mac, it's going to work the exact same way. If you are using the Windows tool for the GUI that allows you to be able to copy folders, it's the exact same process. I think the nomenclature changes a little bit there and how they talk about it, but it's the exact same process of pulling files in. So now that it's there, I can go to my folder. I'm going to go and refresh here, and here are the ENS docs. And this is everything that exists out on the site. So these are the actual files that are being used by the site, and you can actually recognize some of them. There's introduction page, there's the index, and then there's the FAQ. You can actually go into that and open it up in a normal notepad. Even though there's some special formatting here, particularly at the top, and this, this formatting, this is used specifically by the site to be able to parse out what's in this file to be able to show it on the site. But if you take a look at, the information here, why the name's registered as hashes. So if you actually look at the FAQ site, you can see some questions here and kind of the name, the formatting they use to get this to look right. And if you actually go and compare it, you can see FAQ, why are the names registered as hashes? You can actually go to the site and see it's the exact same information. So this is the exact same file. It's just in a separate, it's just in a different format. So what we're going to do next is we're actually going to switch projects, and I'm going to show you how to actually update that file, keep the same formatting so that it's able to be used inside of the website, and then how to actually let the Ethereum project know you've made a change and you want them to consider it. Okay, so now we have switched projects. I'm now looking at the Ethereum Homestead documentation. And actually, I was looking over the FAQ, and I noticed that there was actually nothing about how transactions actually get paid for. I know the concept of gas is a little bit complicated and not really well known, so I figured that there's probably a good place for a question about how transactions get paid for on the Ethereum network. So I went through the same process of working over the Homestead documentation, pulling into my repo, and opening it up the FAQ file. So I went in, and to add this question to the documentation, all I did was copy out the previous question to maintain the formatting, go and created a new question, how do I pay for transactions on the Ethereum network, and just answered it. There's a little bit more complexity with the formatting, particularly adding an article in about, Ethereum gas prices, but I just went over, found a format that was actually used correctly in this document, and just copy that formatting. That's generally the safest way to go about these sort of things. And now I save the file off. So now that I've actually made this change, I want to let the Ethereum project know I've actually, I've tried to improve this. Is this something that, can make it into the actual website? So we are going to go, and I'm going to go get status. This is now the Homestead documentation folder on my own repo. It says that this file has been modified, so I'm going to go git add, and I'm just going to go and add this file here. Okay, I'm going to go create a commit, question, transactions, and then I'm going to do a git push. Okay, so this change has now actually been pushed up to my own repository, so let's go and see that. All right, now that I've actually pushed up my changes to the Homestead guide, it is now in my local repository on GitHub. It's now time to notify the team through a pull request that there's an actual change here and that they should consider it for the website. So what I'm going to want to do is go over to the Ethereum Homestead guide, not my local version, but the one actually maintained by the Ethereum team, and go and click on pull request at the very top here. I'm going to want to go over to the right and say new pull request. So at the very top, you see here, compare changes, and there's not going to be a lot for you to do until you go and click this button here that says compare across forks. And you're going to see these two drop downs over here. What you're going to want to do is take head fork, and you want to go to your own version of the repository. Mine popped up at the very top. Yours may be somewhere else. If you need to filter by repo, you can actually just put your name in, and it'll just pop up there. So I'm going to do Homestead Guide. I made my changes on master. And here are the changes that are out there. So I have previously made changes to the project. I answered a question before, so I already created a pull request. But you can see my new changes here in green, and this is the question that I answered, and everything's looking pretty good. So you will go and get something that says new pull request or something else. I'm just going to go and view mine, and I'll show you what mine looks like right now. It's currently sitting out on the Ethereum project. I gave it an explanation of what I did in the topic. I answered additional questions on the Ethereum FAQ, And then I just added some comments. I just made another change here. So I said added a new question on how transactions are paid for on the Ethereum network, just to give some description. So what the team's going to do is when somebody from the project actually goes and reviews these, they're going to look at the changes and ask you questions back and forth. Maybe there's some changes that they want to make, or maybe there's some reason why they want to reject the change. Maybe it's not right, or maybe somebody else is trying something different. But this is the way that you'll notify the team that you've made a change. And if you go out there and look right now, there are currently 7 open projects. Some of them are a little bit older, but there's everything from just fixing a simple typo to mine making answering questions to redefining transactions. And that is really it. So we've just gone through the process of going on to a project, finding a change you want to make, forking it over, pulling it down to your repo, making the change, and then notifying the team, the Ethereum team, that you want to make a change. It's a very simple and easy process. And when somebody comes on and actually says, there needs to be a change, especially because of the open source nature of this project, you now can go and make that change, even if it's a small change and simple. Like, some of these are not groundbreaking. Some of them are as easy as fixing a typo or just answering a simple question. You don't have to be a very strong developer to be able to contribute to the project. Just going to the front and making it a little bit clearer, or making the project a little bit easier to understand, or just fixing the phrasing so that somebody might connect with the technology, is what grows the Ethereum community. It's what grows the blockchain community as a whole. So if you have the time, if you have just a little bit of energy to go out and make a change to make the project better, go and do that. You now have the tools. It is super easy, and it will pay dividends in the future if we just take a little bit of time out of our day to make that change. So thank you so much for watching. As I said, my name is Brian Schuster, and I currently run the blog Hivergent.com, where I do a lot of writing on blockchain technology, in particular, a lot of talking about Ethereum, development, smart contracts, etc. We have a newsletter, we have a podcast we're going to be launching because we're really behind the blockchain community. We want to see these things improve and grow, which is why now we're starting to get into the work of actually editing documentation, doing videos, and explaining to people how to improve the projects, because with these call to actions to actually make an improvement, we need people to actually go and follow through on that. So we hope this video has been informative to you. If you're watching this, you want to know how to contribute, you now have an effective way to be able to do that. That is incredibly appreciated, and something that'll help get your name out there and be more known in the community. Not just somebody posting on Reddit, but somebody who's actually contributed to Ethereum. So thank you so much for your time today.